Did Goku just forget about his oldest son, Gohan? Either I just finished watching a new episode of Team 4 Star, or Goku... Holy shit, man. Like, holy shit. I mean, I know Gohan is not like he used to be, but holy shit, forgetting about your own son. Vegeta! Fucking Vegeta. Fucking Vegeta. Vegeta mentioned your son. Okay, you know what? Just push that aside. Let's push that aside for a second, okay? So, Goku, his character, I need to talk about him real quick, okay? I've talked about it last week, and I'll talk about it again, but there's a little bit more details I need to talk about, especially with this episode when it brings up. As we know, the whole reason why this tournament is happening in the first place is thanks to Goku. The reason why every universe is in jeopardy is thanks to Goku, because he was bored. Obviously, he didn't know that, Zeno would, make it to where the losers would, lose their entire universe, but the point still stands is that Beerus warned Goku, do not do this, do not do that. He was straight up being serious. He had a serious face. He's like, I will probably destroy you if you continue going down this path, but Goku didn't listen to him. He's like, fuck you, and just went off to Zeno. And so, all the things that are going on in this arc, all the setup right now, all of the situation, conflict that's going on, it's thanks to Goku. It's not where someone wants to come and kill Goku like we see from, Dragon Ball Z. No, it's not kind of like that. Goku has made the conflict. He has made the conflict by being bored and selfish. And on top of that, what we see from him in this episode makes me just scratch my head and say, what the fuck? So, Goku finds out. He finds out the consequences of his actions. He finds out that if he loses, his universe will be destroyed. Not just him, not just the people participating in the tournament, no. He and the rest of his universe will be destroyed, and all the other universes that lose will be destroyed as well. So there'll only be like one universe left. The winner will be fine, the loser's dead as fuck. And the big thing about this is when Goku finds out, he acts natural. He acts like, oh, you see like, some guilt or whatever. He's like, oh, how was I supposed to know and all that? And like you saw the guilt in his face. But then once that was all passed, it seemed like he was fine. He was like, it's okay. Like, he's like, I was already chewed out by Supreme Kai and Beerus, and they already gave me an earful of that when he was telling Gohan. And I'm like, Goku, do you not realize what you fucking have done? Like, let me just put this in a bigger picture, like a bigger picture frame for everyone can understand. Goku states in this episode, oh, it's fine, we'll just go about winning, we'll just have to win. Okay, fine, yeah, our universe won't be destroyed. But Goku, anyone that loses in this tournament, no matter who it is, even if they're good or bad, regardless of the universe, even if, let's say, the Supreme Kais and the God of Destruction of that universe is fucking evil, at the very least, there is at very least one person probably in that certain universe that is probably a pure-hearted person, someone very good deep down. And if they have their universe destroyed, they're dead as fuck. Regardless of how the gods are, regardless of the people participating in that tournament, it does not matter. So whoever loses, they get erased. So Goku needs to understand that even if he wins, he's killing people. This ain't your traditional fight. This ain't your traditional martial arts tournament. You win, you're sentencing someone to die. You're like, go off and just die. That's kind of what's going on here. And I don't feel like Goku has really realized that fact. When he wins, he's pretty much making another universe closer to their defeat to where they'll get completely erased. But on top of that, though, it doesn't seem like Goku really understands the gravity of the situation and how bad this really is. I mean, Gohan seemed like he was very aware. He's like, look, we need to keep this between us. Like, we shouldn't, say about, all the universes being erased or anything. We should probably keep this between me and you, Father. We should definitely keep this between me and you, because if the universes find out and all that, our friends find out, it's going to be a riot. It's straight up going to be a riot. It's not going to be good at all, which I understand, Gohan's point of view. I mean, think about this, okay? You find out that your entire universe, not just your planet, not just your family or planet, but the entirety of the universe and other universes are at stake, there's going to be a fucking riot. I mean, you got to imagine how the gods of destruction, the Supreme Kais, and all of them are going to feel when they hear the news, and probably next week's episode, they're probably going to be freaking out, like, pointing fingers at each other, looking at Goku like, we need to kill this bitch. Like, they're probably going to look at Goku like, we need to kill this man. Like, it doesn't matter if we get erased, we need to make sure Universe 7 gets completely erased because of this man. Like, this man has caused everything. It's like, if we're going down, that man's going down first, because that's probably what everybody's going to do. They're like, this man has thrown us all under the bus for Zeno-sama to erase this, and that's kind of fucked up, Goku. So the big point here is that it seems like Gohan himself even realizes how messed up it was what Goku did. We already knew what Beerus felt. We already knew kind of what Supreme Kai felt. But now seeing Gohan and the way he acted, it proves he's like, holy crap, like, what has my father done? Like, you could see it in his face the way he acts in that scene. So I really do hope the way this is going, I hope this leads into some form of development for Goku. Now, hear me out, okay? Hear me out. What I'm saying is that right now, throughout majority of Dragon Ball Super, let's actually think about one of the big things about Goku, okay? Goku's constantly been shown to be very selfish throughout Dragon Ball Super. If you really do think back at all the different things that's happened, he seems very selfish, and he's someone that actually kind of wants to continuously get stronger, which is a trait that we know very well about Goku, but he's shown a more selfish side to him in this part of Dragon Ball. For instance, Dragon Ball Super is really shown that it's really nailed that home, and I feel like this is serving to be development for Goku. Now, eventually, it's going to become to a point to where Goku can no longer be selfish, or he's going to realize how messed up he was for being selfish and how he's fucked everyone over. I think Goku will actually realize what he has done when he sees a universe completely erased before him. Like, when he sees, like, a certain universe, you know, lose completely, and Goku sees what Zeno does and the entire universe gets erased, I feel like that's when Goku is going to realize what he has done. And I do hope that's what's going on here. I really hope that's where the development is going right now, because at this time, I want to be completely blunt. Goku is borderline unlikable at this time. I love Goku. I loved seeing him fight. I loved his character throughout Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. And I know his side of being goofy and joking around and stuff, that's a part of his character. I understand that. I completely am fine with that. However, Goku's character in Dragon Ball Super has got increasingly more unlikable because the way he acts, and some of the things he's doing in this arc is really showing a good example. And someone brought up something very interesting last week in the comments, and I actually want to talk about it. I don't remember who actually said it. You can go back in the comments of last week's video and see it for yourself, but there was someone that commented in my last episode review that stated, has anyone else noticed that Goku has been acting more and more kind of like a god? He shows that he's willing to play around with lives because he's bored or he's selfish. And that's actually something very interesting. He's showing traits of kind of like a god, because a god actually holds a lot of life in the palm of their hands. They can do anything they want. If Beerus really wanted to, he could erase anything he wants in the universe, just completely fucking destroy it, and that's kind of what he could easily do. And Goku is showing traits of a god. That's what someone brought up in the comments section last week, and I thought that was very interesting. Maybe since this is, you know, Dragon Ball Super, and it's been focusing around gods and all that, and angels, maybe what's going on here is that Goku is learning how to become a god. For instance, he's learning traits of a god, how to hold all this life in the palm of his hands, and realizes one stupid action of him wanting to be, you know, having some fun or have a quick thrill because he wants to fight could actually cost the entire universe. We gotta think about Beerus for a second, okay? Let's think about Beerus' character. Beerus is a god of destruction. He's very powerful, and what was the one thing that started off Dragon Ball Super? He wanted someone to fight. He wanted a very good fight. He wanted a strong opponent to fight, and he just wanted to have a good match. And that's why he had a dream or a vision, Super Saiyan God, and eventually he found Goku, and then that's where Dragon Ball Super kicked off. Let's think about this, okay? We now know that Beerus couldn't really have a fight because obviously he was too strong, but number two, gods cannot fight each other because it can literally break apart the entirety of the universe. We saw Champa and Beerus going at it, which that could destroy the entire universe, and Goku is reaching that point too where that could happen as well. When he was starting to fight Beerus, we saw punches that were actually shaking the entirety of the universe. That's not good at all. So I wonder what Goku is going through right now is kind of like how he's learning to become a god of destruction. That's one of the big things that's been going around in Dragon Ball Super for a long time now. We do know that Goku's been training for a while now at Beerus' home world, and we do know that Beerus constantly mentions, even in last week's episode, he's like, oh, you're trying to become a god of destruction. You know, he's saying that. That's what he's always kind of saying. And when you think about it like that, what if the entirety of Super is building up to that? It's building up showing things that Goku are doing wrong, or what is wrong with his character, for he can realize what's wrong with his actions. Maybe when he does ascend to the role of God of Destruction, he will understand what he must actually do, and understand any action he makes can fuck over an entire planet / universe. So yeah, I mean, looking at this from this point of view, I feel like the way this is being written, it's going to come back to bite Goku. Goku is probably going to regret his actions, and I feel like when a universe does get destroyed, he's probably going to regret that, and I do hope that's the direction the story is going to go. But another thing I do want to talk about, which is the Super Dragon Balls. So that is something that was mentioned this episode, and at the same time, it's a good thing and a bad thing, the way they were mentioned, because number one, what makes it bad, I want to get the bad out of the way first, what makes it bad is that the Super Dragon Balls kind of remove the threat of the arc, because as we know, one of the big things that are looming over this arc is that a universe will be completely erased and destroyed, and Zeno-sama, he's like the absolute law. This man is the law of the land. Like, whatever this man wants to do, he can do, no questions asked. If he wants to destroy an entire universe, or all these galaxies or universes at once, nobody can bat an eye, because he is that strong. He can do that. He is the god among all the other gods. And so, the big point here is that with the actual Super Dragon Balls, it kind of eliminates that threat. For instance, if the Dragon Balls are used, let's say Goku's universe wins, that would mean that they could use those Super Dragon Balls to possibly wish back other universes, bring them back into existence. However, we don't know how Zeno would be about that. We don't know how he would feel about that if Goku was to do something like that. But on top of that, though, we don't really know how the Super Dragon Balls completely work. I'm going to go on a limb here and assume that the Super Dragon Balls work very similar to the Namekian Dragon Balls. As we know, when, the person that actually uses the Dragon Balls, or, is bringing them into the world, when they die, the Dragon Balls, they disappear. You can't use the Dragon Balls anymore. We've seen this in Dragon Ball Z. And so I'm going to assume that probably the Super Dragon Balls work in a very similar fashion. Like, for instance, if a certain person dies, obviously they will no longer work. They are just useless balls. So what I'm assuming here is if the wrong universe gets destroyed, I feel like the Super Dragon Balls will be completely erased. And as we know, the Super Dragon Balls are in Universe 6 and 7. So if one of the universes get erased, I wonder if the Dragon Balls will completely disappear, because the universe is gone. Since they originated from those two universes, I'm curious. Now, we do know a god, it's the Dragon God that's a part of it and all that, but there's a lot of questions and things we really don't know about when it comes to the Super Dragon Balls. So, I mean, if one universe is destroyed, there is a possibility that the balls might not ever work ever again. That is something we gotta think about. So, the threat is still there, but at the same time, we don't really know. So, the introduction of the Super Dragon Balls could be necessarily a bad thing, but at the same time, though, I'm glad it was, introduced right now. And let me explain why. If it was not introduced right now, in all honesty, we probably would call it an ass pull if the Super Dragon Balls popped up at the end of the arc. For instance, let's say we got about 3 or 4 episodes left of, Dragon Ball Super's, arc right here, like this big tournament arc for the entire multiverse, and all of a sudden the Super Dragon Balls pop up when we found out all the universes were destroyed. I mean, you think, like, that's a fucking ass pull. We'd be really pissed off. I mean, let's just be completely honest. Everybody would be pissed off if that happened, if it did. I mean, all of a sudden, Dragon Balls popped out of nowhere and was able to fix all the universes. We'd be kind of pissed off. So with this, and the way this was introduced, it's actually tasteful, because it doesn't feel like it's going to be an ass pull, like it's coming out of nowhere when the arc gets crazy. It's just like, oh, here they are to save the entire day. They're not coming out of nowhere, they're there, they're pre-established, but when the arc is, as soon as it's beginning, so we're very aware that they're actually there. However, we don't know the mechanics of the Dragon Balls, for instance, the Super Dragon Balls. We don't know if they'll disappear or not, if some gods die, or if a universe disappears. We don't know all of the details of it, so there's still that lingering threat. So I do like the direction of way that those were written in. It was definitely a good time to introduce those, because those were very important to do. I mean, it actually lets us know that there is a possibility that the universes could come back, but also it keeps the threat there, because we don't know how they are going to still remain there if, like, a universe is blown up. So with that being said, let's talk about the fighting and the gods and stuff like that. I think I've lingered on too long for, the Super Dragon Balls to the destruction of the universe, stuff like that. Let's talk about, the actual fighting and the new gods that were introduced. So overall, the new gods, I don't really have much to say besides their designs. I mean, one of the actual gods of destruction that stands out to me would definitely be the Clown God. The Clown God just looks fascinating, because clowns in general in anime tend to be psychotic and fucking interesting. I mean, look, let's think of, Hisoka from Hunter x Hunter. A lot of clowns in, anime/manga tend to be cool, interesting, have a unique, trait with their character, and so I'm curious how that, God of Destruction is, how this Clown God of Destruction is, what type of person he is he someone that's going to bring you a lot of laughs, or is he mainly a serious person? I'm very curious on his design and what type of personality you would have. But then there's other gods that were introduced, for instance, like that elephant god to, like, the mouse god and that robot god. Just a lot of weird god designs in this episode. I'm like, huh, that's very interesting. If there's another god I'm interested in, it would definitely be the elephant god. Like, the elephant god, like the pink elephant. I'm like, okay. Like, that pink elephant, just like the design, like, when I think of a god, I don't think of, like, a big pink elephant, like, okay. So, I mean, the designs of the gods are kind of cool. We just need to see more of them. We need to see them in better detail, because they were kind of zoomed out a little bit. We need to see them in better detail, and I want to see how, you know, what their voices are, and how they, you know, they act around other people. I'm curious how their personality is. So, there's still a lot of questions I have, but overall, the designs so far I saw from, you know, the different gods, and also the Supreme Kais and stuff, they seem really cool. Speaking of Supreme Kais, let's talk about Universe 9's actual, you know, Kai. So, Universe 9's Kai, fucking creepy. That man straight up looked evil. Like, I'm willing to bet that's kind of where they were going with. Like, the way the man was smiling, rubbing his hands and all that, felt like that man was very evil. And I find it very funny the way the man seemed very greedy. Like, he wanted a prize, he wanted something to win, and the person that's the god of destruction of that universe looks to be like a dwarf or some kind. And I'm like, wait a minute. Are you telling me the reason why that Supreme Kai seems so greedy is because his god of destruction is a fucking dwarf? Like, are you serious? Like, are they giving that trait that the reason why that man is, like, acting like that, like he wants something, is because his god of destruction is a dwarf, and, you know, dwarfs love gold and money and stuff like that? And I'm like, really? Really now? So, interesting stuff there. I wonder if that's trying to let us know that that universe is kind of evil or not, but we'll see where that goes. Anyways, though, let's talk about the situation with the fight. So, Gohan, Boo, and Goku are participating in this little pre-match before the main multiverse tournament. And Gohan, at this time, obviously, he's not in shape. I mean, the opening song reveals that it seems like he's getting back to the point he was, maybe in the Majin Buu saga, but I don't think Gohan could possibly fight higher tier opponents like, you know, someone like Goku or Vegeta's status, but Gohan is still pretty damn strong, and I'm willing to bet if he was to train for a while, he'd probably get back into shape, and he might surpass his old limits he had in Dragon Ball Z. Since Gohan has been out of shape for such a long time, I don't think he's probably going to be able to put up that good of a fight. However, Boo is someone that really interests me. Boo is someone we haven't seen fighting for a very long time. Honestly, the last time he really tried to do any type of fighting, like, I know the Universe 6 and 7 arc, he was going to participate, but he got kicked out of it because, you know, reasons that, you know, Boo couldn't participate. But the last time we actually saw Boo trying to fight was against the God of Destruction, Beerus, and Boo got just completely backhanded. That man just got shot off into, like, the water or something. I remember that. And so, we haven't really seen Boo actually have a fight since Dragon Ball Z, at the end of Dragon Ball Z. So, I'm curious to see Boo fight once again, because it's been such a long time, and Boo is honestly a really interesting character. I always enjoyed Boo in the Boo saga. I loved the villain, I loved, you know, good Boo. Just a great character. I just love the style of Boo, and I always thought, you know, it was fascinating to see him finally fight, and see him being on the good guy's side, and so I'm curious to see how Boo fights, you know, after such a long time of not fighting. I'm curious how he's gonna act, you know, is he gonna get into that mode where he's gonna act very childish, and then he's gonna start getting very serious, kind of how, you know, Boo normally was. Like, he acts like he just doesn't want to do it, but then he builds up, he's like, oh, this is fun, you're a strong guy, and, you know, wants to fight. I wonder if that's what's gonna happen here, because at the end of the episode, Boo smiles, and I recognize that smile. That smile reminded me of, like, Boo in the Boo saga, the evil Boo, like, you know, the evil version of our now good Boo, like, you know, that smile is like he's getting happy because he actually has an opponent or something. I'm like, oh shit, that's looking interesting. So I'm pretty excited to see Boo fight. I have to say, I'm more hyped for Boo fighting than even Gohan right now. I love Gohan. I have a lot of faith that he'll come back and be able to get stronger again. However, I really want to see Boo fight because it's been way too long. I love Boo's character, and I want to see, you know, some new updated visuals of him in a future fight. Now, do I think Boo's gonna win? I don't know. However, we gotta remember, Boo is pretty fucking OP. Number one, this man can pretty much regenerate any damage done to him, so yeah, I don't think he's going to go down that easy. Even if someone beats the fucking shit out of him, Boo can regenerate quite a bit of damage. We know for a fact. We remember the Boo saga, and Boo was by no means an easy opponent. No, he wasn't. Yes, there's stronger opponents now. We know there's a higher tier of power. However, Boo was not a weakling. By no means, not a weakling. Yes, Goku and Vegeta are stronger, and yes, Gohan is technically stronger if he still had the status of his power at the end of Dragon Ball Z, but right now I would assume that Boo's probably higher than Gohan at this time, until Gohan starts training once again, getting back into shape. So overall, I would say it's going to be a good fight. I feel like Boo's probably going to get whooped around. He's going to get the shit knocked out of him and all that. And, you know, this person's probably going to be making fun of Boo because, oh, like, you can't land a punch. Like, he feels like he just can't do anything. Or Boo's just, you know, slamming around, bouncing and stuff. And I feel like he's going to realize the true terror of Majin Buu. That Boo, this man, he's so durable and he has so much stamina that you're going to wear yourself out before you really even do anything. But we also have to remember Boo is that type of person that learns while he fights. For instance, when he's fighting, he learns different techniques and moves. Like, we remember when he used the, you know, Kamehameha against Goku. Remember when Goku went Super Saiyan 3, and then Boo learned his technique and was using it against Goku, and then Goku talked about it? That was a very prime example. Also, Boo used Vegeta's techniques as well against Goku. Boo has shown that he can quickly adapt and learn techniques from certain fighters as soon as he sees them. It was even stated by Goku. So I'm willing to bet if Boo starts getting into the spirit of fighting once again, he starts getting into it and all that, he's probably going to learn the moves that whoever uses against him, and he's going to try to reenact them and do it against his opponent, which that's very deadly. Majin Buu is a very deadly opponent to fight when he actually does get serious, so we'll see, you know, where that goes. Anyways, though, that's about it when it comes to this episode. I mean, episode was fucking awesome. Great art style, great animation, and I just love the new opening song. And I know it feels like I complained a lot about this episode, but in reality, if I didn't complain, it means I didn't like the episode. Like, for instance, the way this episode was, because I really love this episode, and I love how it's making me feel about Goku. I truly love that. I fucking love what it's making me feel when it comes to Goku, because all honesty, I used to freaking say Goku's a likable character, this man's amazing, but right now he's extremely unlikable, which it's a good thing, actually, because the way it's making me feel about Goku, it makes me see him as the villain of this arc, because no matter what happens, no matter whoever is an evil bastard in the future episodes, it's technically Goku's fault for whatever happens. If anyone dies or whatever, it's Goku's fault, because he initiated all of this. So I'm liking the direction of this arc. It's a very solid arc so far, very different from any other arc we have seen thus far of Dragon Ball. Not just Dragon Ball Super, but Dragon Ball. Yes, we've seen tournament arcs in the past throughout Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball, and this isn't the first tournament arc of Dragon Ball Super, but this is the first time we have seen to where Goku is the villain. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. You all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.